Okay, so in this video, I want to spend a little time going over two sections here. Once active, how does a PA account work? And how do payouts work? So let's start with this. Once your PA account is active, okay? So yes, you get a PA account, you'll start with a fresh new balance and a fresh new drawdown that goes with that plan, whether you had a $50,000 plan or 100,000 or 300,000 or so on, okay? Now, make sure that you do understand how the trailing threshold works. You can click here, watch a complete video and information on it, okay? Now, the trailing drawdown technically works the same way on a PA account, but you actually have a pretty big advantage on a PA account because it stops trailing a lot earlier. Okay, so you're going to trail by your max drawdown based on what account you choose, but it's going to stop trailing once you've reached that drawdown threshold plus $100. Okay, so for example, let's just say that you had a $50,000 account. Okay, and there's a $2,500 drawdown on that account. Well, it's going to stop trailing at 50,100. Okay, let's walk through that real quick. I just want to clarify that, make sure everybody understands what I mean by that. Okay, so you start off with a $50,000 account, so your trailing threshold will be at 47,500 when you start, right? So let's say the first day you make $1,000 in profit. Okay, your balance is at 51,000. Let's say that was the highest it had reached. Okay, 51,000. And so your trailing threshold moved up 1,000 as well. Okay, so it started off at 47,500. Now it's at 48,500. Okay, say the next day you make another 1,000. Now your balance at 52,000. That's the highest it went. Say your trailing threshold goes up another 1,000, 49,500. Okay. Now, let's say the third day, make another 1,000. Balance at 53,000. Okay. Well, your threshold, okay, would go up another 1,000. All right, which would be 50,500. But it's not going to do that. Okay, because you had a $50,000 account. Once you've passed the initial threshold, the $2,500, it's going to basically go to your account size plus $100 just to give it some room there. Okay, so your threshold stops at 50,100. Okay, so if the next day you make another 1,000, now you're at 54,000, your threshold still stays at 50,100. Now with an evaluation account, your threshold can keep following you up until you reach your profit goal, right? Okay, but in a PA account, all we're trying to do there is cover that initial potential trailing threshold, get you to 50,000, which was the account size, plus $100, and that's where it stays at, and that's where it's protected at. Okay, the next day you lose money, you're down at 52,000 for your balance, right? Well, no problem. Your threshold's still at $50,100. Next day you have a killer day and you're at $60,000 balance. Your threshold is still at 50,100. Okay, so that's a big advantage of a PA account, is threshold stops trailing once you reach the account size plus $100. Okay, again, if any of that didn't make sense to you, make sure you have a full grasp understanding of how the trailing threshold works. If you go here to this link, there's a lot of information on it and a video where I walk through it very, very detailed, showing multiple examples. If you just watch that video, you'll understand it. So again, that's a huge advantage of the PA accounts. Okay, on the PA account, you can trade up to your max contracts that's determined by your account size. No more contracts can be added. Okay, if you want to do more contracts than that, you need to have a second account. All right, payouts we're going to talk about here in a moment. The PA accounts, if you fail a PA account and you reach your max drawdown, PA accounts cannot be reset. Only evaluation accounts can be reset. So if you had an evaluation account, you qualified, it converted into a paid performance account, and unfortunately if you failed that account, you cannot reset that account. You have to start over with an evaluation account, prove that you trade, be consistent, and so on. Okay, the fee for a PA account is $85 per month, which is all inclusive. It, you know, for non-professionals, it covers the data feed, wire fees, and so on. Okay. So that's how that works. Now, what about payouts? Let's talk about payouts for a little bit. So how do payout work? Everything is really explained here on this page. There's not really much more to say about payouts. The Apex Trader Funding Help Desk doesn't have any extra information for you about payouts or how they work or dollar amounts or anything else. It's really all covered here. Okay, but let's just kind of walk through it. So, payout schedule. All right, payments are made on the last business day of the month. That's when we execute and initiate the payments. Doesn't mean you'll get it in your account that day. That means that's the day we send them out, whether we're sending them out by, ACH or wire or check or PayPal. That's the day they are sent out. Okay. Obviously, if you're doing PayPal, you're going to get it right away. If you're doing, other forms, ACH, check, whatever, it can take a few days. But that's when we send them out. Profit sharing. Well, under our plan, traders get 100% of the first $10,000 that they withdraw. Okay. Then after that, 90%. That's the first year, every year thereafter. Okay. Again, payments can be made by, PayPal, check, ACH, and so on. When do you submit payments? Well, the request for a payment, are you required to withdraw every month? No, you're not required to. But if you want to withdraw, okay, we accept the request then, because we've got thousands of traders here. We've got a lot of accounting. We've got a lot of systems in place. These timeframes and deadlines are set. We cannot change them. We cannot adjust them. We cannot make them differently for individuals. I'm sorry, I wish we could, but we've got so many traders. This is how it's set up. So the payout request must be received into us, okay, to the help desk, between the 20th and the 25th of the month. We give you a 5-day window there to make a request, okay? So we get the request in the 20th through the 25th saying, hey, I want to make a withdrawal for this amount. Great. We get in the request the 20th from the 25th. We send it out on the last business day of the month, okay? So you send in the request with the amount you want to withdraw, what account you want to withdraw from. Any requests that come in after the 25th will be denied until the following month, okay? And that's not because we're trying to be jerks about it. It's just, that's a process, all right? And so please make sure to get it in that deadline. If it's like, oh gosh, hey guys, it's the 27th and I was out of town, I didn't get to submit it. Man, I'm sorry, I really am, but that's how our cycle is set up, okay? So we don't, we're not stressing you here of like, oh, it's only one day a month between 12 a.m. and 2 p.m. No, we give you 5 days, the 20th through the 25th, okay? But what do you have to do in order to make your first withdrawal request? Well, you have to have qualified for a paid performance account and obviously be trading that account, be profitable in that account, okay? And for your first payment, okay, for your first payout, you must have traded a total of at least 25 trading days before you can make your first request. So let's just give an example here, okay? If today was, October the 18th of 2021, and I just now qualified for my PA today, am I going to be able to submit a payout request in October between, October 20th and October 25th? No, because I won't have 25 trading days in time for that. Now, do I have, if I just today on October 18th got a PA and I'm trading every single day and I trade for 25 trading days, would I be able to submit a request next month, November 20th through November 25th, to get a payout at the end of the month? Yes. Okay. That is the system. That is set. There's no way for us to change those guidelines or those deadlines or those time frames. Okay. So payouts are requested the 20th through the 25th. Anything after the 25th will go into the next month. Okay. If you send something in on the 27th, we're going to just hold it into the next month. So for your first payout, you have to have a total of 25 trading days before you can make that request. All right. You can look in R Trader, you can look in Ninja Trader, verify your 25 days. If you've not met those minimum trading days, then simply just wait till the next month to request a payout. Okay. Now, let's say you've made those 25 trading days, you requested a payout, you got a payout. What about the next month? Well, on the second month and any months thereafter, you're only required to have traded 10 trading days during that month in order to be able to place a withdrawal request the 20th through the 25th. Okay, so only 10 trading days are required between the last payout and the next payout. All right, so if you've not met 10 trading days, then wait to the next month to request the payout. Okay, now the first through the third payouts have a minimum payout of $1,000. Okay, there's always a minimum payout of $1,000. We don't want somebody to say, hey, send me $30. It's like, come on, $1,000 minimum for us to go through the process and send it out. All right. But there's no minimum payout on the fourth payout and beyond. Okay. So for the first through third, there is a minimum of 1,000. After that, you're going to request less than that, but make it worthwhile. Okay. So there's no minimum payout on the fourth payout and beyond, but you must maintain a minimum balance threshold after the payout. We'll talk about that. There's no maximum payout on the fourth payout and beyond. Okay. You'll be set up as an individual contractor. You'll get a 1099. You're not an employee of Apex Trader Funding. You don't get a W-2. We don't hold out taxes. You get a 1099. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about how much can you withdraw ongoing and what type of balances have to be maintained in an account. All right. So let's talk about that. Again, let's use an example of a $50,000 account. Okay. And on a $50,000 account, we have a $2,500 trailing threshold, right? Well, I explained to you earlier how that trailing threshold works a little differently, right? To where it'll stop trailing at 50,100. Okay. But as a protection, okay, let me just pull this over here. Give me 1 second. I want you to understand this and why. So let me pull this little spreadsheet back over here that we did earlier. You remember this? Okay. So I'm going to delete this last one, or no, we'll leave it. Okay. So let's say that you trade, and let's say you've traded for 25 days, and this is your balance. Okay. And you say, hey, I want to withdraw. Okay, so your first month, okay, let me just walk through this a little different. So right here, this chart here shows if you had a $25,000 account, here's how it works. $50,000 account, here's how it works. 75 and so on. But let's just use the 50, okay? So for your first month, your first withdrawal, okay? After 25 days where trades were placed, not just 25 days have passed since you had a PA, or 25 trading days have passed, or 25 business days have passed, but 25 days of actual active trading. Trades have been placed 25 different trading days. Okay. The minimum that you can request is $1,000, meaning we don't want a $32 withdrawal request month one. You know what I mean? And the maximum payout for that first month is $2,000. Okay. The second and third month, okay, you can withdraw one time per month, and with 10 days where there were trades that were actually placed. Okay, so that second month, as long as there was 10 trading days within that month before the deadline of the requesting from the 20th to the 25th. Again, minimum is $1,000. We don't want little payout requests. You can withdraw up to $2,000. Okay, so that's the first month, second, and third. From the fourth month on, same thing. One withdrawal per month, at least a minimum of 10 trading days, minimum $1,000 request. Okay, and no maximum. You can request $1,000, $10,000, $100,000, whatever there is available. Okay. But notice here we skipped over this part. This is the required minimum balance after a payout. So for example, on a $50,000 account, after the payout, there has to be at least $52,500 left in that account. So what was this account size when it started? $50,000, right? What is the trailing drawdown amount on a $50,000 account? Well, it's $2,500. Okay, so does that make sense? Let me walk you through it on a spreadsheet. I want you to fully understand this here. Okay, so let's say there's 25 trading days have already been accomplished. Okay, let's say you've taken your first month, you've taken your second month, taken all that. All right, let's say you're on your fourth month. You can withdraw an unlimited amount as long as you stay above the threshold. Well, let's say you're at $60,000 right now, right? What happens if you say, hey, I want to withdraw $10,000? Okay. Actually, let's just put that here. I want to withdraw $10,000. Well, that would put your balance down to $50,000. That puts you under the trailing threshold and actually kills the PA account. Do you see that? Make sense? So we don't want to do that, right? What if you say, okay, well, I want to withdraw $9,000. Well, that would put you down to $51,000 as a balance. Where's your threshold at? 50,100. So after you withdraw $9,000, you're starting off new trading with what? A $900 trailing threshold. That's a really low threshold that's going to be real easy to get kicked out, have a trade go against you, and lose your account. Do you see that? So even though the actual trailing threshold, okay, the trailing threshold, understand trailing threshold, stays at 50,100. But for withdrawals, okay, the balance can never go below 52,500. So if you had $60,000 in here, okay, you can withdraw 7,500, right? Because then it still leaves you with a balance of 52,500. Or you can withdraw 5,000, 2,000, whatever. But the amount that you withdraw after the withdrawal, the account balance cannot be less than 52,500. Okay? For one, that's an area of protection for us, for the threshold amount. But for two, it still gives you plenty of room between the 52,500 and the $50,100 that would kill your account. You've still got a $2,500, extra in there. You got a $2,500 buffer in there for ups and downs in the market, right? Because you don't want to be able to like, oh, let me pull out a little extra and I've only got $500 and I'm out and I lose the whole paid performance account. That would be terrible, right? So there's the trailing threshold that you'll see in our trader that you can never have your account balance go under or it kills the account. But for the withdrawal threshold, that's how it works. Okay, so does that make a little more sense here? So if you have a $50,000 account, okay, you can withdraw on the fourth month, for example, minimum of 1,000, but you can withdraw whatever you want, as long as the balance in the account after your withdrawal is at least 52,500. Okay? And it walks through that same information on these other sizes accounts of 75, 100,000, and so on. Okay? So that's what this is all about right here, the example. A $50,000 account reaches 52,500. A trader may withdraw a minimum of $1,000 above 52,500. When the account reaches 52,500, the threshold balance, like the trailing threshold, will be at 50,100 no matter what payout occurs, because that's separate. The trailing threshold, like that you don't want to lose too much and get kicked out, is at 50,100. But as far as your withdrawals, you never want the balance after withdrawal to be less than 52,500. Okay, that's part of the rule. And the reason that rule is there is to maintain a buffer there for you so that you don't get kicked out. Okay? Because if your balance falls below the minimum payout amount, let's say that you request too much, okay, then the payment won't be processed until there's enough in there and you can request it again. All right, does that make sense? If not, go back through and watch this and watch the trailing threshold. But that's why we set that there must be a minimum balance maintained in the performance account after a withdrawal, because it protects us, but it also protects you and maintains that budget. Because you don't want to take too much money and then start trading the next day and you only got a couple $100 buffer there before you're knocked out and you lose everything that you worked so hard to get. Okay? So when you request the payout in the help desk, you got to send a help desk ticket, not a phone call, not a live chat, not a random email. It's got to be a help desk ticket submitted between the 20th and the 25th of the month with the requested amount of the payout. Verify that your balance is above the minimum threshold, confirm how many trading days, what the payout information is, and where you want it sent. Okay? So again, read back through this, watch this video again if you need. It's not that complex. There's just a few rules those first couple of months. There is a balance to maintain. And then this chart here walks you through exactly how it works on each different size of account.